All right, says I'm live. How's it going, guys? Give it 1 second here to make sure it's up to speed. For some reason, for those of you guys that stream, you know what I'm talking about. When I hit go live, it just kind of like sits there for a second. It says going live, and then the whole screen will freeze for a second, and then I can see myself again. So that's why at the beginning there's always that whole, okay, I'm going live. Wait. Up. Okay, good. I'm on. I'm sure someday they'll ban me off of here and all of us, but not yet. I'm still here. Anyways, how's it going, guys? We got Mateo 1371. How's it going, man? Good to have you. Road Scholar, what's up, man? Tree Guy, how's it going? Seth, what's happening? And a few of you guys have requested some guns that you want to see in videos, and I have those lined up. I actually have a decent amount of videos lined up for next week. So a few of those guns you guys have been asking about, I'll be having videos out soon. So I appreciate it when you guys have requests, and I try my best to oblige, you know. How's it going, Francis? What's happening? Yeah, I thought I'd just talk for a little bit to start off with, and then if you guys have got other stuff you want to talk about, go ahead. But I wanted to talk about some of these 32 ACP or 7.65 millimeter pistols that are kind of available right now, and in some cases pretty cheap. Some pretty good deals out there in the mil-cert market. For example, at Classic, they've just got the Cheetah Model 81s in. I don't have one as of right now to show you, but stay tuned for that. That's a hint I'll give you there. And they just got done running a flash sale on these guys right here, these Zastava M70s. As of like yesterday and the day before, these were $150 a piece. So let me know if any of you guys jumped on that. These little micro Tokarevs, I'll call them, mini Tokarev, chambered in 7.65. Yeah, these things are pretty cool. These are $150, which to me is kind of insane for a gun of this kind of quality. You know, these are real deal guns. There's nothing, cheap about these. Solid steel, milled, forged barrels. So, yep. Did any of you guys get one of these when they had that flash sale? These have been available for like $199. They had a sale a couple weeks back for $179. And then if I had to guess, to get the money for the Cheetahs they purchased, they just blew these out the door the other day, because it was the same day they showed the Beretta 81s in 32 ACP that they put these on basically clearance, blowout price. What's happening, Jet001? How you doing, man? Good to see you. I know last week you said you were putting your video up the same time I was streaming. In fact, when I was done with my stream, I popped onto my subscription feed and saw your video had popped up. So I see how it is, man. Your videos are more important than watching mine. I get it. Well, of course they should be. Anyways, but yeah, these are pretty cool, guys. These are the Yugoslavian. And yes, I know it's not Yugoslavia anymore, but at the time these were made, it was still considered Yugoslavia proper. And these were used as mainly like a police sidearm, right? Single stack. Single action. So this is kind of like, in the Tokarev pattern, which is kind of sort of ish, the old 1911 pattern. Certainly I'll say that the Tokarev design was probably inspired off of the 1911, to say the least. Are they clones? Of course not. I get that, but they're kind of sort of a little bit in the vein of the 1911. Certainly reminds me of one anyways. So, yeah, these are pretty cool little guns, actually. Take the safety off of it. Might help the hammer drop. I guess none of you guys got one of these. Was hoping somebody would have. You could let me know. But yeah, there's this one, and I'm not going to talk about this gun too long, just the fact that there was like literally a phenomenal deal on these just the other day. But I've showed this in some other streams in the past. How's it going, Colin? Nice to see you. Welcome. And some other guns that have been, available recently, and in some cases still are some of these little Hungarian PP or PPK type clones. So here we have Cal 7.65 millimeter Browning. made in Hungary, FEG Budapest. Now, this is this famous FEG plant that's been in Hungary like forever, right? This is where the Hungarian AKs come out of. You know, the famous AK factory, pistol factory. I mean, these guys made literally a little bit of everything. And these are pretty close to being, you know, in the PPK vein. These were often issued as police sidearms. Also saw some use in military. Now, keep in mind, some of these other countries that we're talking about, especially like with, you know, Yugoslavia, even Hungary, to say police and military is kind of a little bit different than how we look at it. I've been in discussions with quite a few people actually that live in the former Yugoslavia, like present day Croatia and Serbia. And we kind of have a hard time explaining to each other the difference between, like, you know, civilian versus military versus police. So in our country, we would say, like, well, our military uses the SIG, right? The SIG pistol. And a lot of our police use the Glock 22, let's just say. Because we, like, definitely differentiate our police from our military. At least I do, and I think we always should. That's kind of one of the things that makes our country different than the rest of the world, right? But in these cases, when we say military and police, yeah, they're used by police forces, by military, and in some cases, the policeman is part of the military, so it's kind of sort of both, right? So Mateo says, suddenly have an urge to watch a Bond movie. There you go. Probably a lot more entertaining than the stream, so I totally hear you there. What's happening, Rockford? How's it going, man? Nice to see you. Francis Petro bought a Russian Tokarev pistol. Good, good. And it was not chambered in 32. So some of these here have dates on them. I'm looking real quick to see what the date on this particular one is. And it doesn't look like there's a date on it, but you can see a couple military arsenal proof marks here. You can see like that little shield and then like the circle with the M in it. And I had it totally zoomed in. There we go. The only thing about these that makes them look a little bit different, and this particular one, by the way, is called the PA63. So this is a PA63. You can find the PA63s in the solid black. You can find them in the two-tone. You can find them chambered in, you know, 7.65 millimeter, otherwise known as 32. You can find these in the 9x18, 9 millimeter Makarov. And there's just a bunch of variants of these little pistols. But anyways, this one here, the only thing that makes it look like drastically different than a PPK right off the bat is this little spot on the grip, this little bulge portion to rest your thumb on. And it looks a little bit corny, like just looking at it might kind of look stupid. The gun's not quite as streamlined, but I would note it's actually pretty comfortable. It makes for a great spot for a thumb rest, at least for a right-handed shooter. It's just a perfect spot to get a nice grip on there, and your thumb just naturally wants to set right on this little ledge. So as goofy as it may look, I find this actually to be quite comfortable for gripping the pistol and shooting it. Now, if you're a lefty, it's still not bad. It's just going to kind of fall right there, you know, kind of in between your forefinger. So it's still doable for sure. Definitely. So this is kind of like, you know, an ergonomic upgrade, I guess, if you will, right? How's it going, Colin? How many guns do you have? Jet said 1 million. Not quite 1 million. Jet's exaggerating a little bit. I only have 999,099. So you're close though, Jet. Anyways, yeah. So these are like an alloy type frame. The frame is like a I don't think it's straight aluminum, but it's like an aluminum alloy, if you will. Kind of sort of the same type of material that like your Berettas are made out of. You know, the Beretta 92s, the Beretta Cheetah series, like the 81s, 84s, 85s. So you've got an alloy frame or lower receiver, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You've got a milled steel slide. And of course you have the classic fixed barrel, the pinned barrel that's pinned onto a little, kind of like a little lug. I guess you could almost call it trunnion that's attached to the frame. And these are kind of like, a typical Makarov or PPK design. I think more proper, though, is to call these PPKs because the Makarov actually was inspired from the German gun, right? So the German guns were first. So I kind of like to look at almost any gun that takes down with, under the trigger guard, with the trigger guard moving here. I kind of like to look at almost all of those as more of a PPK clone, if you will. So if you guys have never seen one of these style guns, you'll notice there's a little pin here where the trigger guard will actually hinge down. See that? And it'll come all the way outside of the frame. So you basically pull this down, set it off to the side. It's just literally resting on the ledge. There's a little cutout that it would go into. It's resting on the ledge of the frame. Now let's see if I can do this on camera because it's hard to do the stupidest things on camera. We're going to rack it to the rear, and I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to keep tension on it so it doesn't go flying forward, and I'm going to simply ease it off the front. And it's literally that simple. Like, these guns are pretty darn easy. And I can just keep the trigger guard like this. What I usually like to do if I'm cleaning it or whatever is just gently let it back up in there. And that's the way if you bump it, it doesn't just, pop abruptly. Probably won't hurt anything, but, What's happening, Joey King? How's it going, man? Yeah, so we basically have a fixed barrel that's pinned to the frame. Try to get a close-up on that. Just pinned to that little lug, that little portion. It's a steel portion that's attached to the, aluminum frame, like a block, if you will, a mounting block. The recoil spring just slips right over the barrel. And we're essentially field stripped. I mean, these guns are super easy to clean. You can just really easy clean from breech to muzzle with your bore snake, with your little cleaning rod. I usually use a little cleaning rod when I'm cleaning my pistols. Anything you would need to clean in here, the rails that you can lubricate. And this is really light. When you get it down to this point, you'll know instantly that you've got an aluminum alloy frame. This frame is very, very lightweight, like probably half the weight of the frame of a gun, like this Stava Yugoslavian M70. How's it going, Bastard? He's looking for a PP in the 25 ACP, otherwise known as the 6.35 millimeter, right? And these guns are always going to be labeled. If you guys are wondering, for any of you kind of new to the mil-cert market, I keep calling it interchangeably because in the United States here, it's a little hot in here, guys. Sorry about that. But in the United States here, we would call rounds a lot of times by their caliber. So 32 ACP, which stands for 32 automatic Colt pistol, right? Well, the rest of the world likes to use the millimeters, right? Like how we have 9 millimeter Luger, etc. This is 7.65 millimeter Browning, named after none other than John Moses Browning, right? This is one of the cartridges that's, we could say, invented by him or attributed to him, that was made for his guns that he designed. I don't want to say he completely single-handedly invented this round, but the round has certainly been, attributed to his and has his namesake at the end of it. So when you see Browning there, nope, this gun was nothing to do with, John Browning. This isn't his design. This isn't his pistol. It's just simply the cartridge, that was given the 7.65 millimeter Browning designation. So, Rockford Orta says, my East German Makarov came with a red-brown Bakelite star grip, similar to a Bulgarian, with a thumb shelf. Looks just like the grips they put on the Norinco. Okay, I can tell you about that. So what happens is this. Not only is it ergonomic, but when you import these pistols, now this is goofy, guys. They're not subject to what we call 922R, which that's a thing that basically some BS law that says that you can't have any more than 10 foreign parts on a military style rifle, right? Like a semi-automatic rifle that has any evil features, which include bayonet lugs and threaded muzzles. And I think most of you guys know what 922R is. Well, pistols don't, fall under 922R, but what they do fall under is an importation scheme that has to do with import points, okay? So the guns have to have so many points to get into the country. And you can get points from different things. Like what they were mainly trying to do is they were trying to get it where they were trying to get rid of what they called Saturday night specials. And I hate even using that terminology, but these were the kinds of words being used when they were trying to pass these laws. And they said, look, they didn't want these little like $25, $35 cheap guns, throwaway guns, Saturday night specials that were coming in from places like Italy, Spain, etc. Basically a way for the federal government to keep guns out of the hands of poor people. Let's just face it. That's what it was. In my opinion, it was a scheme that would affect, lower financial class people. In many cases, it would affect minorities. Yeah, there's a lot of deep underlying reasons why they did this. But at the end of the day, they had to have certain features to get it in the country. So length of barrel would get counted and give it so many points. The overall size of the gun would give it points. They would also take a look at, the caliber it shoots and other features. And one of the features that would give it extra points is what's called a target grip. So many times what would happen is you'd have a Makarov. It would be just 1 point shy of getting into the country because it was a little bit too small. The barrel wasn't quite long enough, and they needed to do one thing. So a lot of times what they would do to get them into the country is they would ship it with a set of target grips. And in this case, this would probably connotate a target grip, okay? And they bring it in that way. And in some cases, that's how you would get the gun. Or in other cases, they would give you the original military surplus grips in the box. So you could choose to change it out right away. So in many cases, and with this particular gun, this may have been the reason they did it. However, when I show you another one that's almost just like it in a minute, I'm not quite sure that's why they did it on this exact gun. But many of the Makarovs, getting back to that, that's why they put these grips on here, because that gave it more of a sporting purpose. And it has to prove that it has some type of sporting purpose before a foreign gun like this can be imported into the United States. And that's because the Second Amendment clearly states the right to have sporting purposes shall not be infringed, right? Or the right to shoot skeet or hunt or... Oh, wait, never mind. That must be another document because I know none of that's in the Second Amendment. But many of these laws always get, written around sporting purposes. So... sorry if I'm boring you guys with the history on that. But yeah, everything with these imports. That's why imports are always such a touch and go thing, because you not only have the gun laws that are here, but there's gun laws in the other countries that sometimes forbid them from exporting guns certain ways. We have our point system. It's a mess. Because in my opinion, obviously, the Second Amendment has nothing to do with sporting. Now, the fact that we can do sporting activities, yes, that is enshrined in the Constitution also. Okay? That we have the right to personal property, that we have the rights to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, of course. So don't for 1 minute think I'm saying we don't have the right for sporting purposes. That's just not what the Second Amendment's about. The Second Amendment has nothing to do with sporting or target shooting or hunting. So yeah, we're basically field stripped. Basically what we do next is, these grips can come off if you want. One screw that just threads into an insert on the other side. I don't think I need to take those off right now. But we're just going to make sure the trigger guard is down again, off to one side. That's literally how it works. It just pivots off to one side. Oh, one other quick trick. I've seen guys do this backwards, but let me show you guys something real quick. So this has a wide end, like a larger end on the spring, and then a narrower end. I don't know if it can quite pick it up, but if you have one of these in front of you, you'll know instantly. The narrower end goes on first. It goes towards the rear of the gun, and you want the wider end to be protruding past the muzzle. And that's because where it seats here is a narrower bearing surface, and then where the spring is going to impart on the front of the slide, it's a much wider circle there. So always make sure whenever you're dealing with one of these Makarovs or PPK type guns, the bigger end of the spring goes towards the muzzle, away from you. I've seen these put on backwards more than once. That's why I'm mentioning this. It's a lot easier than people think it is. So I'm just putting it on, up and over, letting it ride forward. I'm just going to let this trigger guard ease in here. Popped into place. And I'm basically put back together. Function check. This piece here that was protruding downward, that's literally what's stopping the slide from going forward, or from going too far rearward, rather. or from going too far forward. I guess it would work both ways, right? But yeah, this does not have a trigger safety, or magazine safety rather, on it. It also doesn't have a trigger safety either. There's just one safety on this gun. The mag's still out of it, and that would be this slide mounted safety. I'm not a huge fan of the slide mounted safety, but with little guns like this, it kind of seems to be the best way for it to work, right? So, I mean, there's really not a lot of room with such a small gun to really get too much of a frame safety. Remember, military and police guns, guys. And as you guys know, many contracts, including like our current military, where there was the SIG P320, right? But when it got its military designation, the Ordnance Department said, no, we have to have a manual safety. So it wasn't really possible for most military contracts to not have a manual safety. So you're pretty much going to see that for the most part on any of these military and police style guns. So you can see right here, we can see the red, which means we're good to fire. If we press down on the safety, we're going to see it's a decocker. So what the decocker does is simply that. It takes the gun from single action back down into double action. All the preload of the spring is taken off of the trigger now. And now if we go to pull this, it's on safe. The trigger does nothing. The trigger is not really connected to anything right now except for the trigger spring, the reset spring. So dead trigger. Now we're going to put the safety back up again. We see the red. Now we're instantly in double action. So we could draw from double action, fire the gun, and a notably much heavier double action pull. Let me go around this way because I am right-handed. So this is a long, hard pull. It doesn't really stage very cleanly, to be honest, on this particular gun. You're just pulling, and it kind of surprises you when it breaks. And this is a pretty stiff double action trigger pull. I'm going to say probably upwards in the over 20 pounds. I mean, not quite as hard as like the Polish, Radom P64s, which are also in kind of the PPK Makarov vein, right? Not quite that bad, but not too far off. But when we pre-cock the trigger into single action, it's actually a quite pleasant pull. Just a teeny bit of little predictable take up. Let's see if I can show you guys that here. Okay. And then I hit an abrupt wall, and then it breaks. Probably, let me see here. Let me pull it how I normally would. Probably very, very crisp and sharp, maybe 5-pound pull. I mean, really not bad at all. Certainly as light as you would want it to be for any type of, military or police type activities. So yeah, decocker, which doubles as a safety. And that way you can carry the gun if the manual of arms called for it. Again, every police are going to have their own, police departments can have its own policies. Different countries' militaries have their own policies or, manual of arms. Some may have allowed them to carry it just like this with a route in the chamber in double action. Most of the time, from what I've read, though, you were to carry it in this manner right here. So you kind of have almost two safeties. The first safety, and this is pretty easy too. Let me show you guys. Even though it's on the slide, it's real easy for me just to get the side of my thumb on it, take it off safe, and then go right into a very deliberate double action. And when I say deliberate, like, trust me, you're not going to accidentally pull this trigger when it's in double action. I mean, there's no way. Look at this. I mean, watch how much my finger. See what I'm saying, guys? This is like a very, very, very stiff double action. So with that said, I think these are pretty safe guns for carry, especially in a military or police type situation where you definitely don't want somebody, doing a patrol and he's at the high ready, waiting for an enemy to come around the corner. And then all of a sudden, boom, just a noise of war, like a flashbang goes off 100 yards away and he gets on the. No, I don't think you're going to accidentally shoot this trigger. I mean, if you had your finger on the trigger and literally like jumped and got startled, you have to really, really pull this thing. So, yeah. Let me think of what else about this gun that would be interesting to you guys. It has just a simple fixed front sight, low profile sight. I mean, this is kind of a point and shoot type of gun, right? This is a concealable. And this is a concealable type pistol. So this isn't because they didn't want to put a better sight on here. No, the vein of these types of guns is you want to have this as snag proof as possible. So you're going to have a little front sight that's kind of subdued. This is swept down in the front. Real small little rear sight there, which is driftable. It's windage adjustable, where it could be put in a press or possibly a small hammer and punch and drifted slightly from left to right. But this is definitely not the type of gun, obviously, where you're going to be sitting there and, you know, probably like competing in any kind of long distance. You're probably not going to take shots on this, to be honest with you, and more than, I don't know. I mean, depends on your skills, but, you know, this is like a 7-yard type pistol in general. So, you know, it's got a checkering here on the mag release. Nice and ergonomic. The gun's small enough where I have to change my grip a little bit. I can't completely reach right here, but I can still keep my hand on the gun. Now, this is not a drop-free mag. This is the other thing I wanted to mention. A lot of people here in the United States, and what you see a lot on YouTube is where when you're done with the mag, you just, you know, you hit the mag release, it drops right to the ground, or people grab their mags and throw them on the ground. Well, in Europe especially, and historically even in the United States, a magazine is a valuable commodity. So you don't want the magazine just to fall right on the ground. You need to always retain your magazine. So the reason they don't have a drop-free mag, this is not because of like bad tolerances. This is the way the gun's designed. They want the person to be able to kick it out just enough to firmly grab a hold of it, grab the mag, retain it either in your holster, dump pouch, pocket, whatever you've got. And to me, it makes quite a bit of sense. You know, when you do the reload where you're just letting your mag bounce on the ground and all that, you're going to risk it getting dented. You know, magazines are sheet metal, thin sheet metal. You could get dirt, dust, grime. And let's face it, of all the malfunctions I've ever had with pistols in the past, the vast majority of them are usually due to magazines. So why would you take potentially the most fragile part on your gun that's the thinnest of steel, okay, that has moving parts, tolerances, and is the most susceptible to dirt? Why would you throw it on the ground? So, and you guys are all entitled to your own opinion. Trust me. There's instructors out there that are going to teach the exact opposite I do. Get the mag out of there, throw it on the ground, jump up and down on the mag. I mean, I've seen all of it, and these guys certainly know more about gunfighting than me. But I'm not really here teaching a training class. I'm just trying to explain to you guys what the manual of arms was in the average police force or military during our Cold War or Comblock era. They firmly believed in retaining the mag at all costs. And in some guns, I'm trying to see if I have one here. My Tokaras are in the other room. They would go so far as to put a lanyard loop on the bottom of the magazine floor plate and literally connect a lanyard to it. So even if when the mag didn't drop free, if you fumbled it, it would still be connected to your wrist or to your jacket or your belt or something like that. So that's really how far they went to try to retain the mags. This one has across the top of the slide, and you'll see this is pretty common on most of your military pistols. This has kind of an anti-glare. So this is when the sun's coming down, shining on top, instead of seeing, and it does actually work. Look at this. I have lights right above me. See the shiny bluing on the top? Because this gun's like in pretty much unissued condition. So this is a perfect example. See how much that mirror is shining on the top? If this whole thing was polished, you would have a very hard time picking up that front blade through the rear dots. So instead what this has slight serrations. Specifically on this one, it's more of a little checker pattern. See that? So by them putting those checkers in there, it breaks it up where, and this is showing the perfect example. Look right above the checkering, that mirror shine, where it's basically blinding right here. This mitigates it. And when you're outside on a sunny day, yeah, it does matter. So this is another little built-in feature that really tends to help. You've got a hollowed out lightened hammer here. Plenty of hammer to grab onto. By no means is this a bobbed hammer, but it's still in the vein of keeping the gun nice and compact, so it's not going to snag. Serrations on the trigger. That's another one of the points things. If you guys have ever noticed a military surplus pistol like a Tokarev sometimes, you'll see where they put serrations on the trigger. That way they can call it a quote-unquote target trigger or competition trigger, and then it gets another point added to it. Now, keep in mind, all this stuff costs money. So when they have to do these modifications to these guns overseas for them to meet the point system, all these upgrades they have to do to them, if the gun didn't already come that way, adds money. And that was pretty much the goal to the legislation that did this, because they literally wanted to keep cheap guns. They named them, the Ring of Fire, Saturday Night Specials, things like that. They wanted them out of the country. They didn't want it where every peasant or poor person could go, to their local hardware store and spend $35, $25 even. I mean, look it up, guys. A lot of these old little Italian guns, especially, Army Gillespie's. There's a bunch of these really, really cheap ones. Rome, ROHM is another brand. Yeah, these guns a lot of times came into the country $25, $35. Uncle Sam said, nah, too many people could arm themselves and possibly pose a resistance to us. So we only want people that are very sportsmanlike and only shoot for sporting purposes to really be able to own guns, because, yeah, the average peasant, nah, there's just too many of them. And I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, but that's what I believe. I believe that's what a lot of these, gun control laws in the past have had to do with. Let me see who's popped in here real quick. Let me go all the way up here. You guys have been saying a lot. Sorry if I've been ignoring you guys. I'm just trying to, do a somewhat thorough explanation of these PPK clones. So for whoever's watching it later or somebody's interested about getting one of these, hopefully this is a point of reference for you, Okay, the man you wish you were. How's it going, man? Pistola, as he says. Tyven Show, how's it going, Tyven? Explicit, what's happening, man? Yeah, I am passionate, about these guns, and the expensive may be a little bit boring. I try to be, thorough when I'm doing an explanation. What's going on? Texas Outlaw, Michael Science, how you doing, man? Appreciate what you've been doing lately, getting the word out on gun rights. You've had some good videos lately that I've definitely, given the thumbs up to, man. Same thing with Jet, getting the word out there. Yeah, Jet safeties do suck, yeah. But mandatory by most military and police contracts of that time, right? Ninja Scout, what's happening, Ninja? How you doing, man? Freddie F, how's it going, man? He says, hey, Al, I have to say I'm impressed that anyone is interested in 32s. Thanks, Lockshooter79. The pistol of choice for Tony Montana. Should have some popularity or nostalgia because of that. Yeah. Tyven Show says, I need to get you a Tyven Show hat. Hey, yeah, that'd be cool. This hat's getting a little ragged. Some of the guys have, kind of ripped on me for my hat's coming apart. Poor conservative, what's happening, man? He says, I never let my mags hit the ground. Yep. And you'll see people go both ways. Definitely. On YouTube, though, they tend to throw them on the ground a lot more than people I see in real life. Just saying. Yeah, Explicit hates when the mags get dirty, too. Yeah. Yeah, Michael Science, this is a nice little shooter, to be honest. Tony Anthony, he says, I see that all the time where they just let them drop or throw them. I just sit back and shma. Yeah. Well, like I said, hey, it's you guys' money. You guys can do what you want with it. I'm not going to rip on anyone that throws his mag on the ground or if he throws it into the lake. If he wants to buy a new one, that's cool. I really don't care. Marshall 9913, thanks, man. See, he's got my back. He says I look cool. No, I'm sorry. He didn't say I look cool. He said the hat looks cool. I don't want to push my luck. So, yeah, this is the PA63 and the 32 or the 7.65 millimeter. Like I said, you can buy these. They were made in Hungary, chambered in the 9 millimeter Makarov, if that's your choice. I will say the 32 is a lot more pleasant than the 9 Mac. The 9 Mac's a little bit snappy, especially in, the aluminum frame. Gun doesn't weigh a lot. But the 9 Mac's probably got substantially more power. So, well, it doesn't probably. It definitely does. So, that's for you guys to decide. They do make them in both. And then I have another one here, which is also a PA63. And it is literally the same gun. Almost literally the same exact gun. But it's in the two-tone. And you'll find a lot of the PA63s, both in the 9mm Makarov and in the 7.62 Browning, that just have the brushed frame. So the frame's still the same exact material. This just has a type of anodizing type finish on it, okay, to make it look like a solid steel frame, or like a blued frame, I should say. Whereas this, you can see here, where it's basically just brushed. Let me see if I can get it to focus. You can see the little lines on there. Now, this PA63 has a production date of 73. So this has generally the same proof marks as the other one, but it has one extra acceptance stamp right up here and a date. So I don't know the exact contract this was used for, but certainly these were used in different contracts, because this is kind of common where the military would normally, and I do say normally, be the ones that would put the date and a lot of times an extra proof mark, where if it was sold to civilians or police, and again, civilian, police, military kind of becomes a gray area. A lot of times they might lack one of the proof marks and lack the date. So the big difference is the finish of the frame, even though it's the same material, same thumb grip. And I did notice just a couple other little differences that are kind of indistinguishable, but whatever. So we have the frame finish, we have the date and the extra proof mark. And then remember I was talking about the anti-glare on this all black one, how it's little fine checkers? This one, for the anti-glare area, it's just literally lateral lines. Now, this is basically a difference without much of a distinction. I get that. You know, it's not a big deal, but hey, if you're really looking at it closely, there are a couple little differences in these two guns. Other than that, basically the identical gun. Both chambered in the 32 7.65 Browning. This one basically has the same exact roll mark on the side of it. Cal 7.65mm Browning, made in Hungary. FEG Budapest. So, of course, it's going to come apart the same way as the other one. Now, I will note one more thing I forgot to mention, guys. There's no slide release on these guns. So the follower of the magazine will hold the last round open, but there's no release. There's nothing here, right? So basically you have two choices. If you want to put the slide down on an empty mag, you have to take the mag out, pull it back, let her fly forward. Or we could obviously insert a full mag, and then it would strip off the top round and chamber it and go forward. So, yep. And again, this is also kind of a little annoyance, but pretty standard on a lot of your Makarov types and your PPK type guns. At least it holds open, because there's a fair amount of other guns out there that don't even lock the slide back at all. So at least this lets you kind of get in there and confirm that you're indeed empty and that you didn't just have a failure to feed or stovepipe or whatever. So, I mean, it's doable. How often are you really in a hurry to get that next round off when you're not going to be putting a full mag in? So it's kind of more of an annoyance just when you're sitting there messing around with the gun on the table than it is in real life when you're actually shooting it, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. But let's try this. Let's try the single and double action on this one. This one is almost a little lighter than the first one, but not quite as crisp. But still a really good trigger, no doubt. A little bit of take up. Very light trigger. Double action. Not quite as hard as this one either. And I think maybe this gun's just, sprung a little bit different. Look, no two guns are exactly alike. Even if you have two of the same model, they're not exactly alike. The triggers are a little bit different on these two. But in general, they both share the thing where they have a very hard double action and a quite pleasant and crisp single action. So, yeah. All right, let me move along to a couple other little 32s here. I've got another one from Hungary. Now, this one's starting to look a lot like the first one I showed at first glance, right? But it's actually got a couple differences this time around. This, instead of being called the PA63, this is called the AP765. And it says AP765, Cal 7.65 millimeter Browning. we've got the same type of aluminum alloy frame. And in this case, with this gun having a little more wear on it, we can actually see on the high spots the silver showing through. So this goes back to what I was showing you earlier, right? This is the raw metal underneath here. This has a finish applied to the metal. This gun just happens to be in pretty close to, maybe not perfect condition, but, pretty nice. Whereas this one, we can start to see with more wear on it. Move this over here to keep it in good condition. You can start to see that, yeah, that aluminum alloy frame is definitely showing through. Now, this one's going to have serial numbers in the different spots. We'll notice where the other two were. There's not really any markings to speak of. The other ones are right in here. Here we have the slide that's marked with a serial number. We've got EE8272. Then we're going to come back down to the front of the grip frame here. We'll see the same number show up again, if it'll pick it up. It's kind of hard to pick up contrast on black, but there we go. EE8272. And I think this one, if I'm not mistaken, even has a numbered magazine on it. You can see the floor plate of the mag at one time was all black, but it's lost a good portion of its finish. Yes, this does have a numbered magazine. And it's hard to read. 8568 maybe. So it's an unmatching magazine, which is fine. Now, to me, this looks a little closer to an actual PPK because notice we don't have the target grip thumb rest anymore. And we have FEG, which again is the name of the factory at Budapest. And look at that logo, guys. If I can get it to focus on it. Tell me what that logo reminds you of. I mean, for even 1 second, how could they possibly say they weren't literally trying to clone the Walther banner? Yeah, poor conservative. Isn't that crazy? So this is basically a Walther clone, even down to the way they put their logo on there. So if I had my pick, to be honest, I would like to take the condition of this gun and put it into this one, because this is getting downright pretty darn close to an actual Walther PPK clone, even with the clone type, marking there. And for those of you that have fooled around with Walther collecting, a real PPK is expensive. The Walthers didn't meet the points, so keep in mind, none of the true Walther PPKs have been able to be imported into this country in many years. That's why the price keeps going up. Of course, because of James Bond and many other famous movies, there's always been a lot of demand for these. But yeah, the true PPK, not legal to be imported under its stock configuration because it just didn't get enough points, which I think sucks. But other than that, this is very similar to the other two guns I showed you guys. Literally, besides the grips and besides where they have the markings. I mean, I'm kind of lining everything up here. This has the same type anti-glare serrations as the second one I showed you. So but yeah, takes down just like a regular old. This is a pretty tried and true design, guys. I know the man you wish you were saying I don't like those. He said I'm not a fan of those pistols with trigger guards pop out. Feel the frame should be solid. Well, here's the deal. This gun, I would argue, is just as solid as other types of designs of guns because you have to remember the barrel's completely fixed. There's a little mounting block / trunnion area that the barrel's pinned into. We have an aluminum alloy frame, which has proven itself over time. I mean, again, look at Beretta. How many, tried and true designs they've had. And there's actually quite a substantial amount of metal that comes in there. So if you look at this part that actually interfaces and locks, because remember, this is all going to be up inside the gun, right? If you actually look at the part that interfaces and locks against it, the lug is a substantial size, so. And that's fine. I'm not trying to talk you into liking these, but this is a rather proven design. I mean, these were made in the whole Soviet bloc, had all their, Makarov designs. Germany with its PP and its PPK. So, yeah, not telling anyone they should like this, but it's It's a stout enough design. It's been battle proven for many, many years. Single action, light, very, very heavy double action. We're kind of back to the same type of thing, to be honest. And I should have brought my one. I was kind of wanting to talk about 32 pistols tonight, but I should have brought my 9mm Makarov version of that PA-63 because it's kind of funny. It's the same exact gun, just in different chambering. But hey, maybe I'll do a Makarov stream in the future, and I can, bring one or two of these back just to kind of show the differences in them. Now, a couple of these are still available, guys. So if you're looking for these on the primary market, I'm just going to say classic, and you guys should know where I'm talking about because YouTube's really, really funny about links or even talking in the video about places that sell guns. So I'm just going to say if you go to classic, I believe it's this one or it's this one or even both are available right now from classic. So these are still available on the primary market. All three of these should probably be available on Gunbroker, to be honest. So these aren't unicorns or anything like that, guys. These are just regular old-fashioned working man guns. Someone that's kind of wanting to get into milsurps. Somebody who likes the 32 caliber. Kind of a soft shooting plinker. And again, not trying to start an argument. I'm really not. But I could argue for these as a defensive gun, even today. These have been military calibers for many, many years. And if somebody's not quite comfortable with a 9 or a 40 or 357 SIG, but they are comfortable with this, I'd way rather them have this gun than something they're not comfortable with, or to have them so frustrated from a gun that, hurts their hands, or they're just there, or they don't get quick follow-up shots, or whatever the deal would be. I'd hate to see someone get frustrated and not carry. So for those several reasons, I think there's a strong argument to be made that any of these guns could still be viable concealed carry today. You've got the single action, double action. You've got the decocking abilities where you can carry it extra safe or even safely carry it, with the double action. Yeah, the round count isn't very high on these. That's true. But the magazines are small. It's pretty easy to tote around a couple of these too. So I'm not going to definitely say everybody has to carry a gun like this, but I'm not going to make fun of the guy that does. That's kind of where I'm at with that. The fact is, I think some recent events have taught us that you're responsible for your own safety. And if you can keep yourself safe with this, then you're accepting responsibility. If you say, well, this is the only gun I've got, this is the one I'm most comfortable with, but everyone on the internet made fun of me and said that I can't carry this, then you might find yourself as a victim of one of these crazy psychopaths like we've seen in the last couple weeks, and the police show up to take the report. I can tell you what, you're going to be in the game a lot more if you can use this to break contact and run and get cover if that's what you need to do, or if you feel you have the skill set on that right shot to actually engage with the perp enough to take them out. Way better to have this than it is a cell phone. I mean, who cares how good a video footage you get of it if you're dead, right? So people forget about that. A lot of times, if you can just break contact, if you can just get the bad guy's head down just enough to get the heck out of there. So, yeah. Like I said, these are nice little guns for many reasons today, including collecting and life and liberty and whatever you want to call it. Just personal responsibility and protection, really. I got a couple more 32s here, but I'm going to take a quick peek at the chat and see what's going on, see what I missed. As always, yeah, I like it when you guys are talking to each other. If I'm missing something you guys want specifically addressed to me or you want me to answer, do at GlockShooter79, all one word. It'll show up in orange. But if you guys are just talking amongst yourselves, that's great. Just don't want to miss anybody because I do like talking with you guys and all that. Wait, Rockford Ordnance. I just caught this out of the corner of my eye. Found Mac ammo for $159 for 1,000 rounds. That's pretty strong, man. That sounds pretty good. Was it like a wolf or? I like shooting steel case 9mm macro off. Let me know, man. Yep. Like you said earlier. Yep, Rockford. I can't really say where to buy this crap, and that's what sucks. A guy left me a nice comment in my Taurus G2C video last night, and I'm gonna address him later. But he's like, "Man, it's a great. I really liked your video or whatever he said, but I really wish you would have put the links to where you can buy this stuff in the description." He's like, "But thumbs up anyway." And hey, for any of you guys wondering, I got to be really, really careful. I mean, there's been some eBay item numbers I've linked to in the past because since eBay has the same assault weapons quote unquote ban as YouTube does and all of that, you're usually fine with eBay links, but I can't link to Classic and places like that. They sell stuff that's considered to be too high capacity or this and that. So trust me, it's not me being lazy, guys. I would love nothing more than to say, check out the 12 links in the description. But if you guys are watching my videos wondering why there's very few links, it's because we know this for sure. YouTube's policies are very, very strict. They don't like gun channels. They don't like conservative talk. And their rules are so ambiguous, you don't exactly know where the lines are. So you basically, if you get, and look, I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about. If they want to punish me, which they frequently do, and demonetize over talking about guns, that's one thing. But I don't want to get my channel kicked off of here just for sending a link to a website, and then we never get to talk about this stuff again. So this has come up several times, including last night. And I just want you guys to know one last time, I'm not being lazy by not putting links in the description. It's just these rules are that darn bad. And I'm a nobody on here. I'm not going to have, like when they messed with Hickok, for example, and he had 100,000 fans call YouTube and his, bargaining union that he's a part of or his group or whatever and his lawyers. And no, look, I do this channel for fun. So there are no Glock Shooter 79 legal team. There's not hundreds of thousands of fans that are going to, blow up YouTube's voicemail. I get kicked off of here. Yeah. So that's why I'm not putting links up. I just wanted to address that because I keep getting that question time in and time out. Like, it was a good video, but you're leaving us hanging on the links. I can't send links. I can't even talk about sites that sell stuff. I have to use like vague generic terms for them that you guys know what I'm talking about, but I'm not actually specifically telling you the website. Yeah, it's pretty crappy. Pretty darn crappy. Yep, and you're right. You can't say where, Rockford. So right as I asked you that, I just got done saying why you can't say where. But you can do it real, like, if you want to say, Apex or Classic or SG, Sam Gabbard. I mean, you guys know what site I'm talking about. That's fine. You're not actually giving a website. Just taking a quick look through here, seeing what I missed. If I missed. Yeah, the man you wish you were. I like the Colt 1903 too. You're talking about the old Browning ammo, the 7.65 Browning. That's where a lot of this started, right around 1900, right? Yeah, just try one of these and see for yourself if you like them. I mean, these are PPK clones, really. For those of you, if I wanted to really prioritize it, I could sell some guns, but I've never really been able to justify a true PPK or been able to really afford one, but I think they look cool. And I do like the 32. Someone was asking me earlier about the cheetahs. At the very beginning of the stream, I started off by saying Classic got in the 81 cheetahs, the 32s, and I will have one on here soon. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah. TCM 9R Mateo's talking about. That's another great round. Nice round. Screaming fast round, actually. Yeah, the Umbrella 81s have the 12 round. They're actually a double stack mag, but with the 32 being such a small round, they're basically about the same width as the single stack 380s. So I think they're pretty cool. The PT-132 Millennium Tourist, they were recalled. Pawn shops want 300 plus. I'm not familiar with the PT-132, to be honest with you. I'd have to check that out. PT-132. So was that a 32 ACP? All right, guys, I have a couple more 32s. If you guys want to hang out for another half hour or so, I'm going to take a quick break, and got a couple other ones I'll show you guys real quick that we can talk about when I get back. So, what's happening, Crooked Creek Shooting? Saw you slip in there just now. How's it going, man? I'll be right back in just 5 minutes. I'm thirsty. If you guys can't tell, it's a little bit hot in here, but it's all good. I'm not complaining. Just need a little drink. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so sorry to block your view. Some of you have told me in the past when I take my break, you like to play Where's Waldo? Or, you know, like what changed in the background. So sorry, you guys are stuck looking at me. But you guys are reminding me of something here. Hey there, friends. Do I have a deal for you? The video, the video of him cleaning the Cosmoline SKS. I think I have a video idea, guys. So let me go off script for a minute here if I could. Gotcha. Did anyone really think I have a script for these? There's no script. But I figured I'd do a little infomercial here. 1 second, guys. I wasn't going to do a video on this, but Rockford Ordnance and Mateo talked me into it. So hold on 1 second. All right. All right. Hello, friends. Today, we have a deal for you. And what we have here is these fine Chinese rifles. And look, guys, this is a limited deal. We're not going to be able to do this for a long time, but we were able to uncrate some of these original Chi-Com, Chinese, Oriental, made in China. Now look, this is this is the SKS rifle, and these here are made in China. This is the 7.62 by Dylan. What's it? 7.62 by 39 millimeter caliber, and these are from China. And what we got here is a huge crate. Okay. Now, if you look, these have on here what's considered Cosmoline. Okay. Now, this is a powerful round. And when I say powerful round, I mean that if we were to shoot this rifle with this amount of, here, get in there, Dylan. Can you see that? Can you see the Cosmoline, Dylan? All right, let's get zoomed right in there. Now, with the 7.62 caliber round, you have to clean this Cosmoline. Now, this is easy. To clean it, basically all we do is, as we're sweating, we lean over. And the sweat will start to melt this Cosmoline. Because when they put this on in China, they weren't used to somebody sweating this much. When you sweat this much, all right, let's get a different angle. Can you get that, Dylan? I want to show you guys, these are genuine Chi-Com. Now look, these had to be held in a neutral country. And don't ask me how I was able to procure these, but somehow I was able to procure these for you guys. And let me just cut right to the chase. I'm selling these as a loss. My loss is your gain, friends. Hold on. I'm gonna transition. Dylan, keep him busy for a minute. I gotta somehow show these guys how to get this Cosmoline off of here, because underneath all this cosmoline, you're going to find a great little rifle under here. So hold on. Okay. We're back. We're back and we're in the studio here. Oh, it's pretty hot here in North Carolina. Sorry guys, you have to admit, you have to realize this office is not air conditioned. So what we're going to do with the cosmoline, let's see if we can just get right in there, Dylan. Get a good look for the folks at home. Now, by the way, people, for those of you that are dealers out here, there's plenty of meat on the bones for this deal. Selling these as a loss. The more I sell of these, the more money I'm going to lose. But, hold on, Dylan, zoom in. All right. I'm sorry, guys, my shirt's not too small. It's just a little bit hot here in the warehouse in North Carolina, Michigan. This is all there is to it, guys. It's this simple. You want to clean the cosmoline off of these, you get in an extremely hot area. This is extremely hot, friends. You just take this paper towel. Okay? Now watch this. Okay? Now, we're just going to go off camera for 1 second here. This is, hold on. Hold on, folks. What I've been able to do just now, we cut the footage just a little bit for time constraints, but I just swiped this one time across that rifle. And hold on, Dylan, let's zoom in here. Let's zoom in here, guys. With literally one swipe of that paper towel, you're going to see how much this SKS instantly cleaned up, boys. I mean, look at this. By the way, for you dealers out there, plenty of meat on the bones here. Plenty of meat on the bones. I mean, friends, let's face it. At this point, my loss is your gain. And you can see, don't worry about the cosmoline. You can see how easy. I mean, look how easy this cleaned up. No signs of cosmoline. All right. For a limited time only, 999-993. Wait, what deal do we have on these again, Dylan? I'm sorry, 303330. These are 3330 for a limited time. My loss is your gain. To be honest, we're losing a lot of money here, but we have to make way for. Let's just say this, folks. Something extra special coming up here. Something extra special for you friends coming up. I had to take a big bath on these. I mean, I took a big bath on these, but I hope you're all going to find it worth it. There'll be an upcoming video soon. Are we still on, Dylan? You can edit this out, right? Okay. All right, let's go back. Take two. All right, boys. Okay, friends, so as you can see, with all of the meat on the bones for you dealers, and the fact that I'm selling these as a loss, there's going to be something extra special in store for you. So stay tuned for the next video on Classic Beep 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 Com. And God bless. All right, Dylan, cut. All right. Now, you know we're still making double the money on these, right? These freaking idiots. Do you think any of these freaking idiots even noticed that this was a different rifle? No, they'll buy it. Okay, good, because I really want them to think they can clean the cosmoline that quickly. Okay, cool. All right. Let's go screw some more people over on some more deals, Dylan. Come on over here. All right. I'm back from the break. I had a guest fill in for a few minutes for me there, guys. Hopefully he did a good job. You know, one of my paid corporate sponsors, he has a gun shop and had to do a little spiel, and I'm not really sure what he was offering you guys, but I'll have to come back and check on that later. But obviously, we're very knowledgeable of our guns here on this channel, and figured I'd have an expert come in and explain everything about that rifle that you just saw. So yeah. All right, let's see if I'm missing anything in the comments here, guys. You guys are laughing at something. Hopefully that guest did a good job. I mean, he paid me a lot of money to come on, so hopefully. Meat on the bones, his classic line. Anyway, so I showed you most of the 32s I was going to show you guys. I just have a couple more here. And to be honest with you, I'll probably just do a standalone video on them. You guys have seen them in the past, but I've got a Walther Model 4. It's kind of cool. Left-hand ejecting. Kind of rare nowadays. Maybe you lefties would like this little guy. This is, World War I era, pre-World War I. So, I think we've done enough 32s for the night. I was going to go through a whole bunch of them, but I kind of got a little bit more in depth with the Walther PPK clones. And, yeah. I'm thinking about doing a video, too, of that that SKS. I did have to give in and grab one of those, which is pretty cool because it's kind of like a, Vietnam era with the spike bayonet, some of the later features. So I'm thinking about doing a standalone video on that, not of cleaning the Cosmoline. I'll clean the Cosmoline on my own, but I kind of just got it separated out so I could get started. I have, the stock and the barrel action in that box. Let's see if I can do this without spilling all these. And then there's the other parts right there. So, yeah. These are pretty cool. There was a small period of time where I have no idea if they were losing money or not, but they did get these down to pretty cheap, like $2.99. Thick Cosmoline. The man you wish you were. Thanks. I used to do a couple little impersonations back in the day. Haven't really done any lately, but yeah. I mean, I didn't do any impersonations tonight. Tonight was a special guest, but you know what I'm saying. Treyhor, how's it going, man? You missed a good part. I had a special guest on here just a few minutes ago. So when it's done, you might want to come back and check that out. There's no reason whatsoever that my shirt's wet. Don't even ask. Just go back and rewind it when it's all over. Chuck Kaplan, how's it going, man? Kaplan? I hope I said that right. Lindbergh Johnson, what's happening, man? Nice to see you. Adrian, how's it going? Adrian was the one that was I want to thank you, man, for helping me out. Let me grab this real quick. For those of you, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I did a kit on an M70, Yugo AK, and there was a little sticker on here, and Adrian was nice enough to help me out. And if you guys can't tell yet, I'm kind of a history buff, and I like the story behind these firearms. So let me show you. I've still got this kit right here. And I had said, in the video there was a sticker on here that said something that I couldn't read, but that said something. And if you don't mind helping me again, Adrian, could you tell the people what that says again, please? Because I know some of these guys on here are interested in this kind of stuff. But this was from the former, Yugoslavian. And yes, of course, I know Yugoslavia is not a country anymore, but when these guns were made, it was still called Yugoslavia. So former Yugoslavian. And Adrian was nice enough to actually translate this for me. Hopefully you can see that there, buddy. Okay, there you go, guys. So this was part of a police department in Croatia. I'm gonna really mess up the pronunciation. So Karlovaca. I know you're probably laughing at me, and that's fine. But yeah, this was, I don't know if it was originally used by the official army in Yugoslavia and then later sold to the police force, or if the police force would have brought it new. But I think it stands to reason this was the last. These were the last people that owned this gun before it, got sent over here, right? So that's pretty cool. I always like that when somebody comes in here that has, that's either from one of these countries or their family's from there. Karlovaca or Karlovačka. Okay. Yeah, Trey, or these Walther Model 4s have quite a bit of history on them, actually. So this particular one that I bought it from, I know the owner of it. Now, this doesn't have paperwork to back it up, but the story was that the gentleman's father had this gun, got this gun when he was in World War II, okay, after the Germans surrendered and handed over a lot of their, small arms to the Allies and the Americans. And this was actually held by an officer in World War II that had the gun previously from World War I. So these were pre-World War I model guns. And if you know anything about your German, history, it was pretty common in Germany and many other countries for the officers to purchase their own pistols, actual commissioned officers, and then they would take it home. And then if they got, re-enlisted or recommissioned for the next war, it was not uncommon at all for them to bring their trusty sidearm back. So the story behind this one is it was brought back by a USGI from World War II off of a German officer who had, surrendered it. And supposedly it had it since World War I. So that's, if I had all the paperwork to go with it, it'd be worth a heck of a lot more. But there usually wasn't paperwork with the guns from World War II like there was in Vietnam and some of the other conflicts. A lot of times it was literally like, hey, hand it over. Okay. Not calling any of the old World War II GIs thieves. That's not it at all. I don't even consider it that. But a lot of times they would literally just pick it up, grab it, and put it in their pocket and take it home. And there's really nothing wrong with that at all. It wasn't nearly as strict back then as it is today. Cool. Adrian says I got it right eventually. It's hard because you've got, Yugoslavia spelled with a Y. Sometimes it's spelled with a J, right? And I've talked about this with guys before, and there's definitely different ways that even the country's name was spelled over the different time periods. And it's something that interests me because there's so many different variants from former Yugoslavia, right? So many different AK variants, pistol variants. Everything in the world is called M70, right? So you've got an M70 milled AK, and then we have an M70, miniaturized Tokarev. Yeah. Model 70, M70. We've got M70As. I mean, there's just so many guns named M70 from that era, and it can get a little bit confusing if you're not into it. And I'm trying my best to get as many possible of the quote Yugo guns, but I'm far away from having all of them, and I don't know if it's possible to ever really have them all. And I guess that's what makes it interesting. What's happening, Orion? War booty. Exactly. Yep. There you go. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off pretty soon. I've been on here for a little while, and it's getting pretty late. So if you guys got anything else to ask me or tell me, go ahead and chime on in here. I'm just going to take a peek at the comments one last time, see if there's anything I'm missing here. You know what's crazy? If nobody's ever seen those infomercial YouTube videos from earlier, they think I'm completely nuts. So people are literally going to think I'm nuts, aren't they? Yeah, Adrian, usually, Friday nights. Oh, tonight it was closer to 11 o'clock. I apologize. I appreciate you guys bearing with me during the summer. I work pretty late. I'd like to, in theory, like once winter starts, probably start around 9 o'clock is a good time. but really anywhere between 10 to 11 p.m. on Friday nights. So basically, yeah, Friday nights, Adrian. So, yeah. A gun from an Albanian criminal. I'll have to check that out, too. I do have some Albanian SKSs, too, that I'll be doing videos on here. Oh, it has trench art from a known criminal in the 90s. Gotcha. That's pretty cool. I have some crazy trench art on some of the stocks, you know, both Yugo and Romanian stocks from the Balkan Wars. Some crazy trench art. In fact, some of it, there's no way I could even show on here. Because this site's gotten so darn restrictive. You show too much at all, certain symbols, certain old military insignia, if you guys know what I mean and whatnot, nothing. What's with these Tokarevs? Oh, Rockford Ordnance. Good question. He says, what's with these Tokarevs I see that are missing the safeties? So back to those imports again. They had to have a safety on it to meet the points. Now, historically, what Tokarevs have done is they would drill a hole in the side of the frame, and this applies to all the different countries of importation. You know, Russia, Romania, Poland, Yugoslavia, etc. They drill a hole and put a manual safety because Tokarevs don't come with safeties, okay? Now, some of the modern ones do. Like this M70 has a frame-mounted safety. But your classic, you know, M57 Yugos, your TT33s, and the different countries' clones of those didn't come with safeties. Well, no safety, no import, right? So I'll show you guys a couple different variants here. This is a Yugoslavian M57 that was imported with a safety. As of right now, I've simply removed the safety. And when I get time, I'm going to put a pin in here, grind it down flush, okay? And try to make it look as close as possible to never having one, right? So they function just fine without a safety. And can you find one if you want to put it back on? Well, I kept the one that came in here. Finding one to put it back in, I don't know. I keep the one you take out just because these were put on by the importers. So you're not really going to find like a Yugoslavian military surplus safety because that wasn't a thing, right? Now here's a Polish where it also had the safety. And the safety's been actually removed in this case. The safety was right here. And a plug has been installed where, yeah, you can tell where it used to be. But it certainly looks better than a safety or just a hole on the side of the frame. So here's one that's been converted, you know, on a Polish model. Let me see if I get that to zoom in a little better for you. But there you go. So here, a special size keyhole, you know, size piece of metal was fabricated. Okay. Now, recently there was an exception. There was one importer that was willing to actually think outside of the box, right? And instead of them just drilling the hole to do the safety, they thought of another way. And they actually put in a Glock-style trigger dingus safety. And if you guys bear with me 1 second, I think I have one of those in the other room. There was a limited time just recently where they brought these in. And I think they might still have some of them at Classic. They've kind of come and gone a couple times. So let me check real quick. Okay. Now, these, you can see, they never drilled any kind of hole in the frame. So this frame is still identical to the service model. You know, probably police model in this case. I can get into these more another day, but by the types of markings it has and the font and all that, this is more of a newer police style, right? So what we can do here with the Glock style safety, this still has a safety for legality and import reasons, right? But we can just buy a regular old trigger and do a swap out. Which reminds me, by the way, I got to get a hold of that guy that was on here earlier because I ordered one of these. They were selling the replacement triggers, and I bought one along with that gun I just showed you, and they screwed me over. It didn't send me my trigger that I bought. And I was supposed to call them a few days ago, but I forgot to forgot to call them back. So as of right now, they shorted me. And this isn't the first time they've shorted me. It isn't the first time they've messed something up. But yeah. Do any of you guys remember the Tokarev stream I did, or is it time to do another one? Because I definitely did a stream on nothing but Yugo Tokarevs a while back. But if enough of you guys have forgotten, or enough of you guys weren't watching the channel, let me know right now, guys. I did a whole Yugo Tokarev, variant video a while back where I showed a bunch of these. So yeah, you can see the Kravina Zastava logo here. Yeah, this is an M57. This is a newer production. We've got an O serial block. And some of you guys that are really into these, I'll explain it in another video if anyone's interested. But you can tell by the font they used for the serial numbers, whether it was a police or civilian sale rather than an actual military issue. The military issue ones have part numbers on almost everything. They use a different font. What's my favorite Tokarev? The man you wish you were says. Well, I don't know. It's complicated. So I like the Romanians and Russians and Polish, which are more of the classic TT33 design. That's kind of like the originals and all that. So I got one right here. This Polish one basically looks almost identical to a Russian, even with the slide serrations. And I can get a full grip on it. So these are okay. But the Yugos are kind of a little bit nicer because you get a full grip on it. You can see that the grip is, about 3/8 of an inch longer. And you get the extra round of capacity. So I don't know. That's a good question, but a hard one to answer, to be honest. I don't know which one I like the most. I like them all. Probably to take out shooting. Usually I'll grab a Yugo. I kind of like a classic Russian or Polish, though. And there's something about these Polish guns. The fit and finish on them, just immaculate, deep bluing. The Polish are pretty nice. So thanks for asking the question, but you know how it is when I like them all, okay? Is that a good answer? Yeah, I like the Romanians. I've got a few of the Romanians, TT33s. Bastard says, where is my Pakistani Tokarev? That is in another location right now. Maybe I should just do a full Tokarev stream or like 2-hour video, standalone video one day. But yeah, I have a Pakistani Tokarev also. Chinese. Yeah, these are pretty cool. Where was my... I think I've got an example right here, actually, that I just showed you guys of the differences. Yeah, this is an old actual military issue. You can see that the way they mark the serial numbers is completely different. So there's the newer production that was sold to like the civilian or police departments. See how that looks? Now we'll look at the older military issue. See how there's part numbers written on all these? These are part numbers for each individual part, trigger, etc. Not only are the serial numbers in a different location, but they use a larger letter font. And I'm probably boring you guys to death, but there are some differences like this that will kind of make it pretty obvious right away whether you're dealing with an official, People's Army versus something that would be police or civilian. And again, from what I understand, talking to people who lived in the former Yugoslavia during that era, civilian and police and military can mean different things than it does here. Like this particular one I haven't shot yet. This one's basically like unissued. It's not a new production. I mean, it's not one of the brand new production ones, but this is a newer one. You can see it has the official military cross there. that won't show up for some reason. I haven't shot this exact one. This one I've shot though. This one shoots just fine. You can see it's got plenty of wear on it. It's far from being new, but yeah, shoots just fine. I don't really have any use for the safety on these. I understand why they put it on because of a bunch of bureaucratic BS. No, let me say that. I don't agree with why they put it on. I just mean I understand it because there's laws. So they're not literally putting them on here for import just to be jerks. It's like they kind of have to. But yeah, these guns have a safety. You know, there's a half cock right here. You know, there's a half cock position. Definitely wouldn't want to carry this gun, you know, cocked. Obviously not, but that's not the manual of arms on how to carry these guns anyway. So carry it in half cock. Okay. The hammer can't get bumped forward now. The trigger's not impinging on anything whatsoever. It's completely locked in place. You need to fire the gun, thumb the safety back, and get in the fight. At least these do have a slide release, unlike those PPKs I was talking about. It's really small, but you can, you know, take a little pressure off. You can close it on an empty mag, so kind of a nice feature for 1930. That's when the origins of this design were first produced. Yeah, sometimes they are gritty in the trigger tray. It just depends. It's just milsurps, period, you know? I mean, yeah. Sometimes the triggers are gritty. Sometimes, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Pass on it and go for another one, you know? Well, an average Romanian, as of like yesterday, they just sold out yesterday. Classic had them on sale for $199. So $200 if you get lucky. They had them on sale, but they sell out quick at that price. The Romanian ones do. But yeah, they literally had them. I was just talking to somebody about that, how quickly they sold out. It's kind of nuts. Let's see here. Oh, I'm glad you're not bored, man. You wish you were. What do I do when my mowing jobs fall off during the cold, wet winter months? Well, I'll plow some snow, and I'll hang out. I'll do a few things. I'll do some random stuff, different jobs, and maybe some interior work. But I try to take a little bit of a break if I can. It just depends because I'm always out salting or plowing, and yeah, it can take some time. Brastard's saying, don't trust your life to the Tokarev half-cock. They don't have an inertia firing pin. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'd trust my life on any chamber gun like this, really. So you're giving good advice, but I mean, the way these guns are made, there really is nothing else, though. This would be the safety, okay? I guess if you slammed it hard enough, the firing pin could still. But keep in mind, too, with these types of guns, they may not have an inertia firing pin. Where you could get in trouble is maybe with some modern ammo with a little softer primer. But they weren't as worried about it back then because the ammo that these were issued with, military ammo, tends to have a lot harder primer, especially old military ammo. So they kind of took that into account. So the firing pin bouncing off of some of this hard primer military ammo, not nearly as likely. Again, wouldn't trust my life to any of those types of things either. Just like I wouldn't trust my life to a decocker. I'm never going to you don't ever point a gun at anything you don't wish to destroy anyway. So you're good to go there, right? But really, really make sure that you're completely pointing against the backstop on any of these decocker guns. Like these little PPK clones. Yeah. On these specific models, I've not known them to have issues with the decocker. But other guns, like even the famous Walther P38, those have been known to discharge over the years from hitting the decocker. There's a piece in there that can break. For those of you that are P38 fans, you know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. Always watch yourself when you know you have any kind of decocker or some of the older firing pin technologies. Send a PPU hollow point through the ceiling. There you go. Bet you that scared the crap out of you. But again, like I said, the ammo they would have issued with these guns was probably a little bit different than the PPU that we buy today. Yeah, like Mateo's saying, he has a sand bucket that he aims at whenever he engages the decac. There you go. The Walther Clone? Oh, this is the one I was talking about for about 45 minutes earlier. So maybe you came in a little later. You might want to go back if you're interested. I talked all about this gun for quite a while. This is a PA-63 Hungarian. And I talked at quite length about it earlier, so yeah, maybe I should do a Tokarev stream. I know I did one not too long ago, but I've got some new people in here that maybe weren't around when I did that, so I haven't really. I'll go back and read later and see what you guys said here. Did any of you guys answer me? Do you guys want me to talk more about the Tokarevs? I think that's what I saw you guys saying. I guess if it bores you too bad, you just won't be there for it, right? Have I ever heard of a Mac going off on decac? Not personally. Anything's possible, but not personally, no. I don't know. There's something about decackers, and some people might get mad at me for saying this, but I never completely trust a decacker. That's just me. I've never quite been able to completely trust a decacker, period. And they're good to have. I totally get their purpose. That's awesome, but I don't know. But yeah, I could talk about these guns for a while, guys. There's a lot of combat stuff I could talk to. If the good Lord's willing and my health stays good, I could be on here 10 years from now still talking about these kinds of guns. I remember earlier when I was talking about the the manual of arms of retaining the mag. There's a perfect example of a mag with a lanyard loop. I know I mentioned that. There's one right here. The old Tokarev with the with the lanyard loop on the mag. Retain at all costs, right? Same thing here. Magazine release, not drop free, and it just comes right out. And I didn't have this grip on all the way. Okay. I was just fooling around. Like I said, I haven't shot these guns. I literally just put the grip on and didn't tighten it down. Let me go ahead and take this other one off, and I'll show you guys real quick what that's what it looks like with no grips. If any of you guys are interested to take a peek in there. It's hard for the camera to pick it up at an angle like that. Nice big leaf spring, mainspring in the back here. Probably won't be able to really see it, but you can kind of see her there. Big old leaf spring, rear mainspring there. So I just basically showed you guys how to take the trigger out, but I don't want to completely take the trigger out because I don't know. Again, I don't know what the stupid rules are on here. I don't want a gunsmith because I don't know what the rules are, but if you guys kind of caught that, I was really, really close to taking the trigger out. Let's just say it's pretty easy. If you buy one of those, stock triggers that doesn't have the Glock, safety dingus in there. Yeah. I got to remember to call Classic. Somebody remind me. I got to remember to do that. I spent $20 for one of these original triggers, and I was going to take this gun or one of the other ones I have with this style safety, and I was going to bring it back to original, and they shorted me the part. And it's been about a week since I got the other part of the shipment in, so I better get on it pretty quick, or they're going to tell me they're going to sell out or tell me it's been too long or whatever. You could shoot it like this if you wanted to. I don't know if it'd be that comfortable, but it doesn't feel bad, actually, to be honest. Maybe I'll do that. I'll go with the incognito lightweight look. All right, I'm going to take one more peek here, and then I'm going to get heading off, guys. Adrian saying he wedged a piece of small plastic underneath the mag disconnect. Mags drop free. If that's what you guys are looking for, great. I kind of like my mags to not drop free just because I like to. It is nice, I think, to be able to retain the mag and rip it out of there and put it where you want to and grab the new mag. So. All right. Okay. A couple more people saying talk more about the Tokarevs. I can do that. I would enjoy doing that. So. Yep. And I decided to mainly talk about guns tonight, guys. Well, mainly only talk about guns. But I'm going to have a couple more gun rights videos coming out. I know some people like it when I do it. Some people don't. But just remember, guys, over the weekend, get your plans together. Get your letters written. Remember who to call because this isn't getting any better. In fact, all the reports I see, seems like Trump and McConnell and all the Republicans are supporting more and more of this BS. So I don't want to forget about it. I did not want that to be the focus of tonight just because I've talked about it a lot. And it's not that I'm ignoring it. I just want to relax and talk about guns sometimes too, just because it's a really fine line between, being as vigilant as you can be versus out and out stressing everybody out. I'm not trying to stress you all out, but just wanted at the end here to conclude with, remember, we still got a lot more calls to make, a lot more to do. I'm going to have a couple short videos out to just give you guys some, kind of like thinking type videos, give you something to think about maybe, So, yeah. All right. Lots of good comments tonight, guys. I'm going to have to go back in here and take a peek, but yeah, more videos will be coming soon. I have a couple more gun videos in the queue that are planned that I'm excited to do. Going to talk about gun rights a little bit more. And for now, I'm going to sign off. It's getting late and it's pretty hot in here. So appreciate hanging out with y'all. Just taking one last peek here. All right, cool. Good deal. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Good night. Have a good one.